Hello to everybody. It's a great pleasure that you are all joining us for our talk with the wonderful photographer Linda Troeller. This event is a collaboration between the agency Jangled and the museum Haus der Geschichte Baden-Württemberg. Both are located in Stuttgart, Germany. I'm Rainer, head of the exhibition department at the House of History. First of all, a very special welcome to you, Linda. Thank you so much for being with us today. You have an endless list of solo exhibitions and group shows. You have also published several books. Linda has worked on many different subjects. Her latest book was published in 2023 under the title Sex, Death, Transcendence. I would also like to mention her fabulous work on the legendary Chelsea Hotel in Manhattan in 2008 and 2015. But essential for her oeuvre is the relationship between water and human bodies. It's by no means surprising that the film that tells her story and her career has the title Healing Waters. That is a decisive term for her. And that is also the link between us. Linda's picture Floating is the cover of our exhibition Frei Schwimmen, Free Swimming, which will be running through mid of September of this year in our museum. You all are invited to visit us here in our museum in Stuttgart. We are not an art museum. We are a state museum for the history of Southwest Germany for the last 230 years. The basic idea of Frei Schwimmen is the question of inclusion and exclusion in many different ways, regarding, for example, gender, religious, or economic reasons. Looking at swimming and bathing, we find indicators for the basic values of our democratic society, like freedom and equality. Linda, we are so proud that you're a part of our show. Thank you so much for your support. I would also like to introduce you to Thomas Hund, CEO of Jangled. Thomas and his team were in charge of the design of our exhibition. In some seconds, he will give us an idea of the exhibition. And finally, I want to introduce you to Jörg Stierle, who was a member of the team at Jangled working on the free swimming project. He was the one who suggested to us to use Linda's picture Floating as the cover of our exhibition. Jörg will gonna be the host of our talk with Linda. Before we get started, I would like to thank Thomas and Jangled for the great collaboration in general for the whole project, and especially also for the technical support for our event today. I also want to include my colleagues at the House of History for their preparations, organization, and support for this event today. Now it's your turn, Thomas, to tell and show us some more about the design of Frei Schwimmen. Thank you very much. Enjoy our talk.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rainer, for the introduction. I'm really happy to have the chance to go with you through the exhibition virtually. My name is Thomas Hund. I'm architect and working with my agency Jangled since more than 25 years in the field of experience design, exhibitions, showrooms, all kind of architectural interventions that bring content directly to people. as we understood that it is not only about swimming, but much more about understanding how democracy works and how things are like living together. What can be learned about living together from an exhibition about swimming. We came deeper and deeper into this topic. So next, please. For us, the biggest question then was, as designers, how can we exhibit something like this? And the more we got into mood images, next please, the more we had this impression of really providing a kind of floating, swimming experience to the visitors, knowing very well that we can't use real water in an exhibition because it would destroy most of the exhibits and perhaps also not provide context for the visitors in which they really can experience the content. So next, please. But as designers, we always use abstraction and reduction to come closer to what we can do. And playing with this, next please, we tried out to find different fields that can lead us through an exhibition. And next please. From this more graphical approach, we went into first sketches, finding or thinking about the way how visitors could travel. We cannot say swim, but we've always had the impression of perhaps they swim through the exhibition, how they can float through the given space of the temporary exhibition area of Haus der Geschichte. Then next, as an architect, we always think about the third dimension. So how can we use the whole space? And we came up very early with the idea to have the the water line way above us, to really provoke the experience of being underwater in the whole exhibition. Next, please. Sure, an exhibition or planning an exhibition is always a very technical part, but what we really liked, even in this technical drawings, we always had the impression of keeping this flow and these movements in the exhibition that are not a normal thing, but something that transports the visitors into a situation that opens up their mind, or that opens up completely different perspectives. Next, please. So in huge discussions together with the curators from Haus der Geschichte, we talked about surprising stories, because as architects, we are not the guys who find the stories, but we are the guys who have to bring the stories into the exhibition. And this is a huge dialogue with the curators. Same with the historic exhibits. You have to understand what they're standing for, but also take care about them, because not everything can be presented in the same way. Some exhibits have to be protected. But with all this, we always had the impression that we should have create a very contemporary look, because it's a topic we want to achieve people from now, and not just tell a story about historic things, because then you always have the impression it was in the past, so it doesn't has no effect on me. But we wanted really to turn this to the other way around, to make everybody understand, no, it's about you and about today. So now let's step a little bit into the exhibition. With this idea of coming from today with a contemporary approach, led us to the idea to start with the lockers. Yeah. The lockers are filled up with things of everyday use in a swimming pool. The visitors are allowed to write their comments on the lockers, and we really do not do any corrections on it. Sometimes we have to clean them up again to give new space for new visitors. And next, please. we really have the impression that it is so easy to come from things you know from your daily life directly into the questions about what about sex, what about who is allowed to go in, who not, what do I have to pay. So we immediately start with these questions about things that have to be discussed and clarified in a public situation. Next, please. When we go deeper into the exhibition, we learn about the question who is privileged, who is allowed to swim, who not, who can afford to swim and who not. And next, we invite the visitors into a journey that really goes deeper and deeper into all the different topics. Next, please. We open up different topics, like you can see with the big headlines about sex, about which parts of the society, but also about topics like what is sport and what is health within this topic of swimming. Next, please. Even normal things like swimming clothes are not just exhibited as objects. They always tell a story. Here it's about how male and female clothes came more and more similar in certain times, and when they subdivided again even more. Next, please. All the perspectives we open up are transporting this idea of being underwater, being in the water with the light. And next, please. We have a kind of very differentiated light that is also animated and a very precise warm light in the areas where you can look at the exhibits. Next, please. The elements we use are very differentiated exhibits, pictures, and also movies that are projected on the curved textile walls, which have a very nice, also ephemeric and water-like appearance. Next, please. Most people that we see in the exhibition, like the swimming guy here, are really presented on eye level. Yeah, so it's not something that looks above from a higher perspective on you, and you don't have to look down. So it is really something that you have the impression to be in this situation, even if it's historic. You directly treat the situation for really like meeting up with people from former times. Next, please. The exhibition started very interactive and is very interactive also in the whole area. Here, for example, at the end of the exhibition, we really asked the question, how can we swim together? And visitors are invited to leave their notes and impressions and ideas on this wall. We collect this as a kind of guest book and try to learn from it and interchange with the visitors in a very modern and really appreciated way from a lot of visitors. Next, please. Yeah, and with this different perspectives on the exhibition, that really provides even for the same object the chance to see it from different angles and understand it with different ideas. We will now go to the invitation again to see this exhibition. So whoever can make it to go to Stuttgart and see the exhibition, this is the best way to experience what we did. The second best way you can do we will also provide now. It's a short movie we produced, not only to explain how the exhibition looks like, but also why the exhibition has this topic of swimming in public situations and what this has to do with understanding more about democracy. So Danilo, please start the movie.
They say swimming is freedom, the silence underwater, the sense that for once you're weightless, present, unburdened, free. Or at least this is how it feels, because even in a pool, there are rules.
Soweit ich jetzt gesehen habe, durften Männer mit Männern immer schwimmen und Frauen mit Frauen. Und dann während dem NS-Regime wurden noch aufgrund von Herkunft oder Rasse getrennt.
So when we ask, do you still want to swim together? We're not really asking about swimming, we're asking about something bigger. Democracy is no longer something the next generation can take for granted. That's why the Haus of History speaks to them directly, inviting young people to explore it in a place they already understand, the pool.
Es war mir auch eigentlich gar nicht bewusst, dass aufgrund von Rasse, Religion und so Leute ausgegrenzt wurden und so.
Weil ja da alle Menschen im Prinzip gleiche Menschen sind und einfach alle Spaß haben wollen.
The exhibition brings that metaphor to life. We structured the space with light, transparent elements arranged in wave-like patterns. Caustic ripples across the floor as if it were the pool's bottom. There's no glass. The objects invite touch. Some are playful, others strange or serious, but each opens a new perspective. From the start, visitors are asked to engage, to choose, to form their own opinion. There is no fixed path. People move freely, like in water, and as they do, the stories unfold of rejection, belonging, control, intimacy, identity, resistance, leading to the essential question: what's the future of democracy? And what can you do to protect it?
Yeah, I hope you got kind of good impression, first impression of the exhibition. As I said, please visit it for yourself. Then the experience is much better and much more effectful. Yeah, and now I will just say or show the poster again and the picture floating, and because Rainer in the introduction said we used the picture from Linda for the poster, but I think we did much more, because the title floating and the whole atmosphere you can feel in the photo was really the main mood image for creating this exhibition. So we're really happy that Jörg found this picture, and we're now even more happy to listen to the ideas and the background of how it came to this picture from Linda.
Thank you for introducing me. I'm very excited to be here. Welcome, team. Great museum, great opportunity. So, audience, I'm going to take you through some pictures of how I came to fall in love with the waters and how I arrived eventually at the photograph that the museum has used. Told to go either to get well from the mushrooms or from the waters. So here I found out that from the Indians that if you put the water on yourself, you would be blessed. So, I'm pushing my second slide. Hello, there we go, and it's in. So leaves me to the next place, which is San Jose, Peru. So I'm 26 at this time. I've gone through a separation from a engagement, and I'm in the mineral water. And I tried what the Indians said, to put the water on me and bless myself. And all my sadness just went away. So I said, oh my gosh, I've got to learn more about these bath places. Well, in America, we had what were called fat farms, where people went to lose weight. And we had a couple of old historic bathhouses, but not much, and there was no internet to look it up. So after studying some history, and what I could find out was a good place to start my program was to get to Baden-Baden. And this was pretty amazing. They had jets and mushrooms with water flowing, and I thought that was pretty advanced. And but I was just starting. There were no books that were collected together about this idea. So from there, I went to Budapest, and I got introduced through some doctors to get in to some healing cures that were quite unusual in the water. It didn't really connect with me. And then I was suggested to see the Gellert Bathhouse. This is one of the most famous in the world. And I made this photograph in the 80s with a slide film. And what's really incredible about this is, we were talking earlier, it's like a collective experience, but each person is having their own experience with the water. And so this was a breakthrough picture for me to, stand there and wait to get the picture. And of course, you're always at risk that someone may decide that you're not allowed to take the picture, but everything went well. And I want to show you that I went back to Gellert Bath 20 years later with my digital camera. I got a lot more of the columns, but still, it's, swimming. It's about your experience and the collective experience. So I think these pictures really do the best story of that. Well, from there, I went to Spa, Belgium. Spa, where the word came from. It was a nice place, but it wasn't really spectacular for my camera. So I decided to concentrate on some of the treatments with the mineral water. And here's a couple in a copper tub where extra healing might be available. And from there, I was on this search. So I heard about a mother-baby program, father program now, where in Evian, the babies can drink that very beautiful water. They can learn to swim in it. And so I wrote, but nobody answered me, but I went anyway. When I got there, they said, you can't go into the room with the babies because it's not sterile for you with your camera. And I was so disappointed that I just wanted to catch every bit of what the water was about. And anyway, they led me down to the basement to do something. And there I found a porthole where they could look into the pool, make sure everything was safe. And of course, I could take that picture because it is the beginning of, water and parents, not just mothers, but fathers being such a part of everyone's life. The next place I went was Montecatini. I wanted to cover, just about every country I could. And here, what we want to think about is the magic of the water, the magic that was going on there. There is the architectural dreams that were envisioned that you would feel in this atmosphere to get well with water, but it's also your redemption, the things that you go through yourself. So having somebody run around with a towel and a sheet until I hopefully at night on a tripod was able to make this image, which was actually a cover of my French book. And then from there, I went to Bühlerhall, Schloss für Bühlerhall, which is a beautiful hotel that hosted the American spa group and the European spa group for the first time. And I had the opportunity there to have an exhibition that Marion Schneider and Klaus Baum brought from Bad Sosa to this hotel. And they had it in the room next to the gala. So I met a lot of spa owners there, and they started giving me cards and inviting me, and it became less difficult. And I went out then, the light was on my mind. And when I went to Ojo Caliente, where the Indians bathed as early as 1200 there in this very space, it just was beautiful light. Okay, in the process that you've discussed of having to tell the story of free swimming, there was also the idea of alternate healing was big. So I went to California, that's our edgy place. And there I was at Harbin Hot Springs in a mineral water pool, waterfall, and a woman with a goddess of water on her back. I thought, this is going to be good. And I also had pilgrimage there to meet the Harold Dull, the one with the red hair in the bottom. He was the head of the creation of something called Woga, water yoga. And it really took off in Europe under other different names, but that was where he was in charge. The thing is, this was a private resort, Harbin Hot Springs, and this was a workshop, but normally there isn't nudity in bathing in the United States. And while I was there, light, body, all the things started coming together, and I made this photograph, and I couldn't wait to show it to David Friend, the editor, one of the editors of Life magazine. And he said, yes, it is, it's good. You have to make their pilgrimages to your different editors, and eventually they come through. And it was so good because it was able to be entered into the Pictures of the Year, and it won first prize. And Vice President Al Gore gave me my award, and we were at National Geographic, and this picture began to change. That's why I'm interested in activism in a way that's, sort of beautiful and unfolding. And this was a new kind of picture that could be used to define mineral water swimming, moving, the wrap towel that was very popular for a while. I also integrated myself into pictures, and I was told that about this hot spring on the border of Italy and France. It's not really, it's a cave where seaweed collected, but it was natural, and this is a free place. Anyone can climb out there and experience it. And I wanted to, load that into my story. Also, this is a good point to say my first exhibition of my Healing Waters early work was in Aachen at the museum, the Ludwig Museum, Ludwig Forum for International Art. And Wolfgang Becker, to the catalog, wrote, Linda Troeller has discovered a picture of human experience, which is organic, blurred, warm, comfortable, mysterious, and holistic. So that really helped to understand why I put myself in the picture. And I got to go to a number of places on assignments, and whenever I did, I followed the waters. So this is a Dead Sea, and this is one of my most popular pictures. It's of the Dead Sea looking over to Syria. This blue is mind-blowing. The blur, the blue, these are things that can work on the psyche. And, that's what being in the water is, this freedom and to flow and to have your emotions cleaning and changing. So that's very important. I also became more directorial with my photography. Here we are in Terme de Saturnia with the Fango mud. And also about sexuality and sensuality in the water. I saw a lot of couples, and I always wanted to make the right picture of them. But it always did just look like an ad, for some kind of chocolates or something. Anyway, I burned this slide. It was a technique I learned, and it's myself and my boyfriend at the time. And it just seemed to fit into the series. Also, the water is not just floating. I mean, a lot of people revere drinking water for health, and especially blessed water. So I went to Knock, Ireland, to where this little Mary bottle is, and a young child, had a vision that water would be blessed. But it was a raining day, and I made terrible pictures that day. I really didn't do much, but I did bring home the water bottle. And, on the way home, a car hit me. I had some whiplash things to deal with. So this was a perfect self-portrait to put together how I was feeling. I can't finish talking about water without saying what an influence it was to go to Bad Salzburg at the request of Marion Schneider and Klaus Bohm and Mickey Raymond, who came up with this healing modality, which is light, sound, and music. in the water, in floating in heavily salted water. So it's a unique experience. And they had other photographers try to tell the story. And I was able to come upon this picture after 3-4 weeks of work. And it is now still their logo. And it's a long time bearing witness to the power of the body of water and people who really, steward the water. And this is one of their other sites in Berlin. It was called the Liquidrome. It was all salt water. And some of my artistic photographs were exhibited there on the walls. I'm just going to take you to a few more places. Like, you can't talk about waters without Japan. Very mystical place. This water, supposedly from folklore, could get you pregnant. Anyway, I even went so far as to think maybe we should do the dolphin swimming somehow, but it didn't really work. But that's how you kind of end up finally with the deal. And Aperture brought my book to America with this beautiful cover that sort of defines relaxation, happiness, that the water can bring you some excellent things. So this was a real breakthrough for me. I had many book signings, and I had other invitations then to photograph other locations. And this is a jacuzzi in Italy. And here also, I was able to fulfill some images that I had seen along the way, then wanted to somehow shoot them in the waters here in Abano. Then I also had the chance to go to Morocco, and I looked up, by then there was the internet, and I looked up what spas and hot springs, but there wasn't much in Morocco, but I did learn about Moulay Yacoub, which is a place where you can go and drink the water. It seems to be rather free, and really it's to help with kidney stones, and people make pilgrimages there. I continued on to photograph people, water, flow, and the next invitation was to Austria, to the waterfall, the Radon waterfall. So imagine you can walk down along the coast of the rocks, and the droplets of radon would bring you healing. So in order to make a picture that showed the lushness of the region, I asked the herbalist of the town to be in front of this. And also the Miramonte Spa, they gave me my own little bath that I could take whenever I wanted. I had a key, and that was a good time to reflect on myself in the waters and to kind of guide my vision. I always return to pictures where I can add color, and this is where your picture came from. In 2017, I was asked to be the professor, the master photographer at the Atlantic Center for the Arts. I had 10 international students, and it was a 3-week extravaganza to be together and to explore. And of course, they wanted to know about my water work. And we had the opportunity to go to a swimming pool. And so to the pool with my students, I brought a rose, and I brought high heels. I brought all these things to, energize the group. And by the way, I was making pictures, so I made this picture that day. And I'm so pleased that the thrill of working with students and people to give off this energy could be carried forward with your show. And just to show you some of the other kinds of things we did that day, it was, one of those great shoots. So I'm just going to take you a little bit further about this idea of democracy. And I never got to photograph steam the way I wanted to. And I think that when I had the chance to go to Chico Hot Springs, I just took it because this idea that you're in the steam, you can cleanse your head, you can do so much about being in like a collective trance that might free us as people. So I'm showing you this is Chico and how I set that up, but then I also had it on a long lens so that I could really be immersed. And I think that's the big word of water as floating and immersion. And now I want to just show you how I made, those pictures. I was working at the far end of the pool, and we've been talking about pools. There aren't that many group pools in America, but here I was concentrating and shooting at the far end, and you can see this is a day pool that people can pay for, and there's also a beautiful hotel with a connected hallway, and that is generally how hot springs are here. And another very important place you should know about is Arlington Hotel in Hot Springs, Arkansas. This is where I took pictures in their mineral pool. This is a very old town. It was started in the 1800s, and it was very popular until, of course, we got drugs, like antibiotics and things like that. They had cures here. But you can see the fun that water holds. I just want to finish off a bit, but this is one of my favorite places I've been to a number of times in Bad Sosa, Germany. And this is another hotel in Budapest, and just want to show you how the Corinthia Hotel looks and how it looks without a person in it. And so you really want to enjoy the sense of solitude, but you can also take a picture that includes something. And here we are in Bad Orb, where they have a mineral bath that's just for swimming. It's kept a little cooler. And I just want to give you a little insight into how I shoot. So this is at the same bathhouse. Later in the day, they had a full moon activity. And I have my camera wrapped in plastic, wrapped in another towel, and then in a bag. And, I put it in the locker, I take it out of the locker, I look for pictures. I can't be walking around all the time with the camera. Although here I had permission, but, anyway, I saw this happening. And so in order to get this picture, I had to go through the curtain all the way into the water, like up to here, holding the camera, but I did get the picture. And believe me, some of the other pictures required that kind of activity. This is Italy. You can't forget it. Anyway, I'm always trying to improve my vision, and I really liked myself when I was at Hippocrates Health Center in the red light. I felt joyful. I felt full of some full. And now it's very big, the red light therapy. I also wanted to photograph somebody in the cold plunge, and Andreas Macha, a dancer who lives in Munich, supplied the activity for me to make this picture. I made this picture around 2014. Now, everybody wants a cold plunge in America after their sauna. Before, we never heard of it. But I love experimenting in the water and helping him to have a beautiful picture to tell people about his water work, and to make continuing to bring light and color and healing through photography. So I'm summing up towards one of the last things that's become popular in America is your private. So there's a public pool or a more public area, and then you pay extra to go into a beautiful pool by yourself as a couple that might have a fireplace, might have a beautiful view. And I was in there taking pictures. So I had my own experience very recently at Ojo Caliente. Now I'm just going to show you a couple ways that my work was exhibited. This was a show, my retrospective in Apolda, Germany. Here in Apolda, so one side had my self-portraits organized. Each curator creates a different type of story. Klaus Pohm organized this show. I also did a book concurrently with this called Spa Journeys that covered everything, food, atmosphere, different things. So that kept me going. And this is how some people, Hippocrates, use some of my pictures in treatment rooms to get people in the mood for their experience. I've been in hundreds of magazines, Oprah, to the New York Times about my work. And big pictures, small photos. And one of the most waterish show was just recently in 2021 and 2022 at the Museum of Sex in New York City. 2 curators, including Bryn Mawr College, came to my studio and helped choose my images from all my work that relates to sexuality, sensuality, the body, and water. So this picture has a self-portrait, full size, with pictures of people in water, and at the bottom is a plinth with a projection of people floating, and it was a big success from the viewers. This all culminates with this last year, a film has finally come out on my life. It's called Healing Waters Film. Derek Johnson, who was a former photo assistant, became a filmmaker, and Ali Scattergood did the directing, and I co-produced this film. It's really the story of beginning shooting through all the different places I went, and it's very creative. It's a feature film. It's available on Amazon Prime in the United States, and the director is right now in Cannes finding who would like to distribute it in Europe. And so I'm going to just tell you one more thing about the water, which George asked me in the beginning. Why do you think you're so attracted to water? And the truth is that when I was a child, we moved to the New Jersey shore, and we lived by the Manasquan River, made of cedar and salt. And my father used to walk me down to the river and then hung on me. Then I bandaged his foot, and then he soaked his foot in that water, and it was very pleasing to him. And that memory stays with me. And so that might be the first moment I knew I loved water. Thank you.
Thank you for taking us on this journey. I think you are the most well-traveled person I met, seeing all kinds of spas and baths all around the world. It was also kind of time traveling. It's very interesting to see how you started out with a very personal approach with a healing approach, and you kind of shifted from one perspective to another. I mean, first it was more the perspective on yourself, what the water does with you, and then kind of portrayed all the places with their atmosphere, and you are really interested and shared it with many people, how these places work. And then I also see some pictures where you're more portraying people, actually, how they are, how they behave. So that leads me to my first question, actually. Is there like a very obvious behavior range or something in comparison with other places? For instance, if you go to Japan, or if you have been very often here in Germany or at Abano, or what is there something you can tell us about? How is there something really obvious how these places work differently? Like, for instance, in the US or here, is it more exclusive? Is it more common? Is it more quiet, or is it more a public place?
America is a very big place, and it has many different pockets. So it's really, I would say, what I found in Europe, that there was a kind of natal pre-birth sensation that people had, that they needed to go down to the swim bath, or they needed to go to the pool. It was kind of, they come. I saw them come over and over and over, and not get tired of bathing in the pool in Europe. We have a different. First of all, we're not that communal in America. We have we we're more private. We don't have so much nudity. We have a few new beaches. I can count them on my hand. So, yep, different places are different. I think what binds it together in terms of mineral water spa owners, they're like tending their places, and they're very special places. And there are some that are reasonable to go to. A lot of people with arthritis in America go to these reasonable places where they can have an RV and they can go down to the water and soak their joints, but it's not something like that. They know that it's going to be a cure, that they're going to go make a pilgrimage there every year or something like that. I think each area is sort of unique, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's. I mean, actually, it's similar here. It's kind of separated between the mineral baths and this like kind of sport baths where you really go for swimming.
Yeah, we were just talking about that with a German yesterday, who told me, here the swim team, we have people that are specialized in that, and then parents have to get up every morning. But we don't. Swimming is not like a major sport thing you're going to do. It's more pleasure. It's more luxury. It's more getting cool on a hot day. It's not like getting as so accomplished or wanting to do that as a sport. We have so many different sports. But I did see that in the beginning, and I also in the beginning in Germany and France, I think people are very interested in how they look, and that's how their physical bodies look. And I think that has, that's evolved from Europe. It was popular, but now people in America, everybody has their sports club. Everybody is, can get their Botox and everything. People are very interested in how they look. But that was something that I first noticed in Europe.
This is actually what strikes me most about baths and spas, because it's such a unique public space. In all other public spaces, you have your codes, how you dress, the way how you walk, what accessories you have with you. And in baths and spas, you actually have to get rid of all that. So you have to purely rely on your body image. So this is something I really perceived in the US as well, because I was in San Francisco for a while, and there was a there was another code implemented, how people really look for their bodies and then present them in this other public space that is called spa or bath. Meanwhile, I can see it here actually too, so it's kind of shifted. So, I mean, talking about time and how things evolved, and I'm interested. I mean, you started a long time ago with your first images, and actually they could already have had the title Healing Waters, and you ended up with your movie, and now it has the title. So I'm interested on the time basis. Do you see any changes? Well, something obvious you notice, like how was it 20 years before? How is it nowadays? Is there something you can talk about, like a tendency where it's going, or is it getting more exclusive, for instance?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the industry, people in America, every year it goes up by another 100 million. They're very successful. People getting massages, going places, not necessarily to the hot springs. We do have a hot springs association. But I think there's a greater awareness of, to be healthy. The latest books are on how to live to 120. And, included in that is going to be this idea of relaxation and bringing people together. I noted that in New York, a busy city, you can now, there's sort of a hip place that you can go and get a steam bath, a sauna, a little cold plunge, and you go with a group. So, and then you go into the sauna and there's a sauna master, and you have like this as like a cultural experiment, and you enjoy yourself for like $150. And these are good trends that people are trying to figure out how to use water, how to use this kind of experience to improve themselves, because we live in a very divided world. And I think nothing could be more important than the work that's being done, number one, on infrastructure to save these old pools that are falling apart in different cities. Number two, environmentally, the hot spring is a resource. It's an incredible resource. And there are quite a few activists, verbally certain type of activists that are fighting for our watersheds and fighting for our rivers and fighting for our water. And I'm a member of a group called Artists Think About Water. And in my group are many activists who do various trials of how, glacial ice will travel, and they measure that. They're measuring a lot of things. But what's most important are these sources of minerals and for the waters. And so anything that I can do with my exhibitions or with talks to encourage people to utilize their mineral waters and find out more about them, but to preserve them.
It's very important. I mean, I can see that here in Stuttgart as well. We were like the second place of mineral water behind Budapest. We have a lot of mineral water. We have like 4 or 5 different spas and baths. And sometimes they were really under pressure because we had some projects that were kind of getting close to the source. So we also have this issue that we have to protect this actually, because it's such a precious thing to if you are around, if you have this around you. It's such a nice thing. Talking about articles, you sent me once an article that I consider as really interesting. I'm kind of jumping right now, but I think it was an article from the Vogue where they actually say that baths and steam are becoming the glue in society, like getting people together. So you already talked about places that are exclusive and people gather up and meet and go there as an exclusive event with their own group. Like, yeah, it's almost the same like doing karaoke in Japan, where you also you're not really exposed to a public, you're in your own thing. But what does that do to certain groups? Have you met people, experience, especially I'm interested nowadays politically, where people with gender, kind of having problems in public places expressing their gender. Do you see a functionality there in this exclusive spas to meet people? Is it important? Is there a touch point you got there?
I'm just trying to think, like in New York City, people like go out to, there's a couple Russian bathhouses, but I don't think there's anything blocking fluidity, at spas or, pools. Of course, you have to wear a bathing suit in any public pool, so that, and many sauna and steam rooms require bathing gear. So, from that point of view, you don't really know who's who. Couples, gay couples, and I don't see that there's any, I haven't heard any issues about that,
Okay.
The gays, they started out in the bathhouses of New York before AIDS. They enjoyed that atmosphere, and but I don't think that there's any, did you notice anything? It's just we're all there, but we're all there. You say we leave everything behind, but actually, you have your most people have their phone, they have their thing, they have their purse, they have a little food with, they're not really alone, but at least you've left 80% of the world behind. And that's really, and that's what I was saying, when you're in these private baths, or you're in the steam, or you're somewhere where you're really, being removed from all the daily issues that we deal with, it is a place where I think people, smile at each other, and I think they appreciate each other in these bath swimming situations. Yeah.
That's what I personally enjoy most of baths and spas, because I mean, I like going to museums, seeing art, etc. But it's not overwhelming you. It's something different, and it is. I think it goes more through the guts and not through the brain. It's kind of, you experience things, and you're not attracted in a ratio way how you think about things. It's more like I don't know. It's very, we Germans say, ursprüngliche Erfahrung. I don't know how that translates to the US, but
once you've floated in water, once you've unburdened yourselves, and you're sitting in a group, or you come with some friends, it's a very positive experience. It can be religious. It can be, it can be life-changing for some people who do what's called like the circuit, where they do a steam, a sauna, then they swim in the pool, and they dive in the cold plunge, and they do that 7 times. Okay, 7 times. And then after you've done that, you've really, you've done something for yourself. And people do that. People do that at Hippocrates. It's a place where you pay, to spend the night, and you have access to that. And there are a number of hotels that have that circuit as part of the spa experience. And people are, putting their money away and saving as girlfriends to go for a week for such experiences.
Yeah, it's kind of a ritual.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not it really makes me sad that they don't have the 3-week cures anymore, where people went and cleansed their systems every day with a bath. And nobody can afford to do that. People now have week programs. There are 4 or 5 bathhouses in America that could do that. That's what they do. But in 1 week of cleansing yourself, it's not going to really change you. I mean, when you have a chronic or a serious issue, if you had 3 weeks, the first week is the upsetting of your system by all that water that you're drinking and getting on you. And then the second week is your body is getting rid of all these toxins and things. And then the third week, you're floating around, getting well. And that was the theory of the cure. And, at all these different places I went, that was still going on in the early 90s. But, now people can't afford to offer that opportunity to people.
That's so interesting, because all these things that you experience kind of link to this exhibition that we did. We have this, it started out really going into the river, swimming wild, as you shown in one of the pictures. Meanwhile, we even have guides like wild swimming. There are certain editions for France, for Spain, and it's beautiful places. And then in the past, we had all these phenomena like the Fürstenbäder, only the rich people who could afford getting into a tiny bathtub and just like not swimming, they're just like relaxing. And it kind of took a long time to liberate it for the classes and for both genders. And these are the touch points that we kind of seen in your work. That when I was accidentally finding your photography in the Museum of Sex in New York, actually, that was like my first search.
Well, it is, my work is unusual, sort of blending the personal with the general, but I have something that Danielle Rakowski wrote about me, and she talked about me. She presents herself to be dared at instead of stared at like an object, but to be dared at. And what I wanted to say earlier is, with my pictures, I am making important statements. I really do feel they have an activist edge to them, and being able to have come to the self-confidence place with myself that I can share my immersive sensations, and other people can see them in group pictures, in my pictures, go in that place. We'll all go there differently, but the fact that I was adamant is like, I really believe in these cures. I really believe in these places that I went to. I don't know that, everyone will do it right or spend enough time or drink enough water or do all the things, but there's a lot of help in the world waiting for you. Just get yourself in love with water. Let's see what it can do for you.
It's almost like a plaidoyer. I like. That's I can throughout all in the series, throughout all the pictures, I can see that too. That's you're kind of getting away of it's not objectified, but of a readable body language. The pictures of you I'm most attracted are the more abstract ones, where it kind of feels like you're not portraying yourself or you're not portraying people. You're portraying a feeling, how you perceive right now, being levitating, floating, and that's
one of the Germans I met once, not really Goethe, but the famous Goethe poet, he has a whole theory about color and how they affect us. And, having made many trips to Germany, I did learn about some of these types of personalities that are associated with colors. And I think that works on the viewer. I also think that the actual DNA from the actual spaces is somehow could be absorbed into the electricity of light, or the electricity might be lodged when people look at some of these pictures, if they want to accept such an idea.
So what, one last question from my side. What is the, what is your plan actually? I mean, you have different works that are kind of, they're still open, but yeah, I can see Chelsea Hotel, and I can see Sex, Death, and Transcendence as a book publishing. And you have right now this Healing Waters that got a lot of awards, and I actually eagerly try to get on hold on this movie, but I cannot stream it here due to restrictions. It's streamable over Amazon. But what is your, do you have a plan where to extend Healing Waters? What are you actually planning on it, or does it
Well, preparing for this talk, sometimes things come to you and they're a lot of work, but it also, brought me back to thinking a lot about this, because the woman who runs this site called Self Portraits on Fire, she's going to do a story about a digital story about the film that she's written, and would like me to do a digital exhibition on her website. And so that's something that is coming up that is one of the things. I don't really know yet what I'm going to do. Besides, I've already, now that the film is getting out, I haven't really pursued another show. The Brussels Gallery is interested in my Chelsea Hotel self-portraits and my self-portraits. So they include water, and I went back and I found a few other ones from the Chelsea. That's brewing for September. And I have a show brewing here for September in the Atlantic Center for the Arts. With that curator, we have not narrowed it down, but I think this opportunity to see your show, I did see the film screening of the sampling of it, makes me wonder, isn't this maybe still, this updated life that I've covered, maybe this could be presented again to the greater public. I would really need your installation designer. So I have things in the works that are, and the one thing we didn't talk about so much, but another thing I have in the works is I've been here in Florida, there's a lot of Spanish moss, and I've been making self-portraits and portraits in the Spanish moss, not to be a book, but just, to keep me going, thinking. And the point of that is that, from the very beginning, my first project was, I called it Greenhouse and Beyond. And I took women to greenhouses with swords and guns and torn off wedding dresses. And that was a successful early exhibition at the museum in Syracuse. And then, I've had this life photographing women in many different ways. And I just wanted to thank Julia Margaret Cameron, one of the early portrait photographers, one of the early women, for her setting up the stage for me back in the late 1800s. And then for a contemporary like Nan Golden, whose works really in a similar sense. So she shoots in low light, she shoots other people, she shoots a different world for the drug and East Village type lifestyle that she really got known for. But it was like her emotion, her stories, her look. And I feel that more than any of my projects, that Healing Waters has that all wrapped into one. It had that passion I had, the contemporary, the older style of feminineness to the eco-ness to even, like taking chances and making pictures about new aspects of water. So maybe this another thing in the works.
Very good. Thank you a lot. Have you seen the Nan Golden show in Neue Nationalgalerie in Berlin? I was there. It's very interesting that you have this link, because it was too crowded. I couldn't see that much there, but it was a really cool place.
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, I think that there's a couple of other contemporary people that push me, and also that whole period of very contemporary work that was minimal. I don't really have that kind of minimal approach, but I incorporated lots of things. I've had a long career seeing different styles, but mostly whatever my theme was, I carved out a certain sensibility for it. And I think of all of them, it's Healing Waters was the most, I was saying to somebody, when I run into people, they don't say, "Hi, Linda," they say, "Healing Waters." But we're in a new time now. We need to be thinking about this resource and how important it is to our body, both as Americans, as world citizens, as Germans. We have so much to offer with this exhibition. I just know that possibly maybe the film can be connected to bring some of your audience some interest, whatever we can do, because this is an extraordinary experience. to see what you've pulled together, that I had to travel all around with all those heavy gear, and you have like this in a nutshell in this fabulous.
Very nice. Thank you. Yeah. So that's would be it actually from mine. Thank you for showing us and for taking us on the journey. So can I just lead us to Dr. Rader-Schilfbeck as the host?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you very much, Jörg. Thank you, Thomas, for participating in our event today. I'm really glad that we all have the opportunity to talk to you, Linda, and we wish you all the very best and hope to see you here in Germany and especially in Stuttgart. So till then, to everybody, go swimming. Well, we have listened to you. Go swimming and enjoy time in the pools and in water. Thank you to everybody for participating in our event, and I wish you all the very best. Goodbye and thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.